Let me say a pleasant good evening to UNC Senator Jayanti Lutchmedial. Good evening, ma'am.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
Good, good. All the best to you, of course. I know you had a hectic day. So much so that you have replied to what was said last night at a public meeting, a PNM public meeting in La Horquita, where you said that it was a disgusting race-baiting tirade by Minister Camille Robinson-Regis at the meeting, which was famously masked as a defense of Foster Cummings. And instead of addressing the needs of the constituents and serious issues affecting the country, they went there in an attempt to sully your good name. Tell us, I mean, it was about property and all of that. And as I was telling the viewers, it definitely means the jump start to the election season because it's out there.
Of course, yeah, and that's the PNM's very obvious tell, I would say, of when they are gearing up for election mode, is they start the race baiting, they pull out the race card. That's the only way they seem to be able to motivate certain sectors of their support base. And it's indicative that they are gearing up for election mode. So, as you know, there have been a lot of things written, a whole 4-part series on Minister Foster Cummings. This came on the heels of the revelations that I had made last year and the questions posed about certain transactions involving our credit unions, state enterprises. These things have not been, they've been around for a long enough time that they've actually been on the radar of the intelligence gathering agencies of TTPS.
And I guess for the viewers, just for the viewers to know, of course, that basically what made you a target is because since June of last year, you were calling for Minister Cummings to resign, to step down with the backdrop of all of these allegations. So now I guess...
Yes, I'm certainly calling for a lot of I'm calling for a thorough investigation and for some statements from the Prime Minister. Now, last week I went further to delve into some other revelations that we had made through freedom of information and so on, because, we are looking at the state companies, we're looking at different companies that are getting state contracts and how those contracts are being paid, who are the companies and who are the real, as we say, the legal term, the beneficial owners sometimes of these companies and so on, and whether there's close personal relationships between members of government and some of these business enterprises which are in receipt of government contracts. I also raised the issue of property from the HDC, and so last night, after making the public's interest in Minister Cummings and his dealings, the police interest, the interest of a particular reporter, and so on, all about race, because apparently everybody, according to Camille Robinson-Regis, don't. I think what she said is every time a black man raises his head, that we try to come down on him, and she made the entire thing as though everyone was attacking Minister Cummings because of his race, and not because there are, legitimate questions to be answered. And I thought that was disgusting. It was despicable, and I wholly condemn that type of politics. I wholly condemn those statements and deny that his race has absolutely nothing to do with the questions raised by the opposition. We have legitimate concerns, and we are here to hold the government to account and to call for transparency and accountability. But then she went even further to try to, as they say, thinking that she had some kind of mark to bust on me, asking questions about a HTC house that I had owned. And she made some absolutely false insinuations about the price of the house, about how the house was paid for, about the sale of the house and what the situation was at the sale of the house, trying to insinuate that I made a profit on the sale of the house. So I answered her today, and I had all of my documents, which I offered to have the media who were writing the story, because they reached out to me for a comment. I offered them the opportunity to look at all of my documents to show that I, like any average, normal professional, would have made a deposit on a home, purchased it, spent money on renovations. When I wanted to sell, I followed the absolute procedure that was set out by the HTC, and on their advice, I submitted a valuation report. I had an offer for a slightly lower price than the valuation price. I accepted it. I information, and they approved it, and the home was then sold. I didn't know that owning a home and selling it was a crime. or was something of substance. What I had questions about is something completely different. And so Camille, they're trying to compare apples and oranges because they're both agency properties. And I want to run you through for you now the issue that I raised last week, so you will see how ridiculous it is to compare both situations.
Right.
What I raised at the UNC press conference was an individual becoming a director of a company owned and linked to Minister Cummings and his family. Immediately after that, the following year, the person gets a property from HTC. It's 50-something, 57,000 roughly, around that. One of the conditions of the lease from HTC is that you must construct a single family dwelling house within 3 years. Approaching the end of the 3 years, the person writes to the HTC and said, I can't complete the home in accordance with the stipulations. I would like to sell it to my close relative. And she names the person who happens to be the wife of Minister Cummings. She's told by HTC, just like I was told, to submit a valuation report. The valuation report came in at $600,000, over $600,000, because there's a massive 3-story steel structure was partially completed on the property at that point in time. Person writes a letter saying, I wish to dispose because of COVID and I'm working and I can't. All the time this person is a director in one of their companies there, right. A company that is getting state contracts, by the way. And HGC approves it. But the transaction is not approved, and the deed that's approved by HGC is not for $600,000 on the valuation price, it's for $100,000. And so it is transferred into the name of Minister Cummings. Shortly thereafter, the person ceases to be a director in that company. Now, and I raised the question, and I asked the question whether or not the building, which is current, and I showed a photograph, I think you will recall, I showed a photograph of this massive building that's going up. And I asked the question whether any state enterprise, statutory authority, or any other sort of government-connected agency has an agreement to now go and rent that building. To date, nobody has addressed that. Instead, they go on this try to nasty up my name. They go now in a constituency where there are several issues, not the least of which is flooding, well, crime affecting every area, not there alone, but of course crimes affected. Recently, there were people who were vending in a particular area in that constituency, and HGC moved in and knocked all of their little sheds and so on down where they were selling fruit and snacks and drinks and all of that, right? You might remember from the news.
Yes.
And Minister Cummings told them, well, yes, everybody wants to start a business, but you have to abide by the law. Imagine that. Imagine somebody who, and I wanted to make the point, the point that I made is that HGC approved this transaction when both Minister Cummings and his wife were owners of other HGC properties. Some they purchased from HGC, some they repurchased again. And the point of HGC is that people who do not own any other property, in fact, a requirement when you purchase a property from HGC is that you must not own any other property. They actually search your name and so on to make sure you are not a property owner. You swear to a statutory declaration that you don't own other property. They both own properties in individual names and collectively. Some of those properties are HGC properties, and then this is also another HGC property that somebody wants to resell, and rather than the HGC say, well, if you're reselling it, sell it at open market value, sell it for this, they permitted them to sell for very, very much below the valuation price. And, it's just a simple questionable transaction.
But even when you obtained your property, were you at any time a member of any political party?
No, I was not. I certainly was not a member of parliament. I certainly was not a senator. I wasn't a party official. From my recollection, I have to check, but I am 99.5% certain that I was not even a member of UNC at that point in time, because when I purchased the property and I was allocated that particular property, I was still working at the Ministry of Finance. I was working at the Financial Intelligence Unit, and I never joined any political party or participated in any political activities whilst I was a public servant. I was a lawyer in the ministry, and I knew that at that time there were some of those developments which they were targeting for more middle-income professionals, and at the time I was on attorney for about 8 or 9 years, and so I qualified for that property, right? Camille Robertson-Regis deliberately misled people last year and say, these are lower income properties and they go for about $500,000. That's a lie, trying to exaggerate the amount of profit that was made on the home. What I did today is I provided all of the evidence to the media to look at, to see the amount of money that I spent on doing improvements in the home that I was living in. She lied then went further to say, and I asked, you all think Jayanti ever lived in the property, this, that, the other, trying to insinuate that I never lived in the property, that it was somehow gifted to me as a way to just flip it and make money, right? And that's the furthest thing from the truth. I lived there, and I chose to sell the property and move for personal reasons, all of which was set out in a letter to the agency, which the media was also given sight of. All right, I'm not going to circulate it. It's personal. It affects people who are, not in politics. I didn't choose to circulate it and post it, but I allowed the media, I invited them to have a look at all of my personal information.
I understand that. But the thing about it here is that a lot of this information would have to be obtained from certain individuals in key positions who would have access to it. I mean, hearing about this on a platform which was basically there to do PR work, according to what was said by Ms. Regis, she said that regardless of what anyone says here tonight or what they came for, I came here to defend Foster Cummings. Now, taking that into consideration and having a lot of your private information out there in the public domain and how the allegations went, moving forward, do you see this as being quite of a battle, at you being a political target for many of the issues that you have raised, especially that involving that of Mr. Cummings?
Well, I'll put it to you this way. It bothers me not that if the minister, as Minister of Housing, chooses to go into the files of the agency and get personal information about me, because I have absolutely nothing to hide. My life is a very open book. I have never done anything that somebody could find. There's nothing to find. Camille could dig from now till, thy kingdom comes. She will find absolutely nothing of that nature, of corruption, nepotism, cronyism, and so on to throw at me. So they could go right ahead. How the population feels about a minister being able to get that kind of information about them, well, that's for the population to decide. And, if they could go into my files in the agency, well, they could do it to anybody, and that's just what they do. Minister Cummings raised quite ironic that he sued me for defamation and breach of confidentiality, because he was of the view that his confidential information and his transactions with the credit union are confidential, and I breached some degree of confidentiality that he enjoys. That matter is before the courts. I don't want to speak on it too much, but at the end of the day, if you're a public figure, you expect that some of your business, especially if you're doing questionable things, maybe out there.
And if you were to capture the essence of all that is taking place, do you see that going forward, do you expect, I should say, a sort of a brutal, mudslinging, dung and dirty sort of a campaign?
I do. We are approaching, the PNM, listen, name one thing that's going good for them right now. There's absolutely nothing. Crime is out of control. You have our security services being involved in what the court is describing as an abduction. I don't know if you read the statement issued from the judge involved in that Brett Thomas matter today about the comments made by Fitzgerald Hines. Despicable. So they are attacking our judiciary. They have their, blatant, what appears to the public to be blatant nepotism with the award of senior counsel. There's an obscene amount of money being spent for legal fees. They went to Parliament today in the mid-year review to allocate even more money to spend on legal fees for the PNM elite top earners. And, so they need a distraction, they need a deflection, they need to attack somebody. And as I said, I am totally unfazed by these things. I know for some people it gets very hurtful and so on, but I have what one politician has described to me, and he told me that I had to have what is called crappleback pumpkin. Crappleback pumpkin skin. So that's what you need to have in this game. And if Camille wants to fight, I'm ready to tango. I am not afraid of her. I'm not afraid of anything that she could say about me, and I'm certainly not afraid of any dirt that is going to be flung at me, because I can tell you I have no skeletons in my closet. So they can come with what they want to come with.
So basically this is not going to deter you from still bringing out information that is going to be beneficial?
Not at all. In fact, I filed a freedom of information application against the youth court. They don't want to disclose some of the information. I've taken them to court. I filed one with the PHA. I think they have a little time to respond again. If not, I'm going to take them to court as well. And I'm looking at other state enterprises that have been giving out contracts to companies connected to different ministers, not just Minister Cummings. and I intend to file freedom of information applications. So all of them, and I will continue to, connect the dots and show the population, because you see the PNM thrive on hypocrisy and drowning the population about allegations of corruption. They try to paint everybody as corrupt. They've been in power for 8 years and they haven't been able to charge anybody with corruption, but they've spent $45 million on foreign lawyers that they say are investigating corruption here. So I intend to show that where the real corruption lies. The real corruption to me is in the squandermania that is taking place with respect to legal fees and these foreign attorneys and accountants and so on. And the real deal is where all these government contracts, how they are being awarded. And as let me take a page out of the book of my colleague MP Rodney Charles. Whilst contracts are being awarded to companies very closely linked to the ministers, their families, and so on, Balize House is rising like a testimony to corruption and squandermania and a symbol forever of corruption that will stay in the streets of Port of Spain. So we intend to continue to investigate, and we will expose all that is being done by this government. And as I said, the role of the opposition, call for answers, find answers, put the information out there, and ask the population to judge for themselves.
I want to thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here this evening, and I can tell you best of luck. I mean, it's going to be a brutal campaign. One would think, like many of us, right-thinking citizens, that the issues of the day would be paramount, and these are the issues that one would be looking at as far as making their decision, rather than personalities and, should I say, just gossiping and what have you. So, very unfortunate,
yes, well,
but I guess it comes with the territory.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me again.
It comes with the job. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.